When you start to dig within yourself, you will find that various groups have taught you metaphorical strings, pulling you in different directions simultaneously. Interestingly, even the thoughts of these pulls can physically trigger responses, sometimes to the point where your hormone-related emotions start flowing. You can even become anxious just by listening to the news. As I've often said, our brain functions like an ocean, receiving knowledge like rivers and streams pouring into it from all directions: social conformity, nationalism, religious extremism, and other schools of thought. This means that as a modern human, you have far more going on in your brain than people did 2,000 years ago. Consequently, whatever you've been taught to believe is rapidly changing. You can choose to be proud of being labeled as a bigot, prejudiced, or discriminatory, or you can become passionate about equal human rights. Preferably, our controlling politicians would rather lock you into exclusive ponds, streams, or even a river of knowledge. They don't want individuals who use their ocean-like brain to make choices, so they wouldn't want you to think as if you have an ocean within you to consult. Disrespecting the vastness of your abilities as a human being is one thing, but politically making us all irrelevant is simply absurd. Remember this simple logic. If a thought can't be performed physically, it can't be counted as a physical action. Whether the promotion of individual irrelevance is intended to rob people of their self-esteem for political purposes or not, gaining power over people by conforming them into a subservient role has been, and still is, good politics for the politician, but not for the individual. Logically, even if it stems from our religious beliefs, when it comes to individual irrelevance, it is nothing but political. Interestingly, they even allow their followers to hide behind God and the devil after committing spiritual crimes, as if human beings don't have free will and aren't responsible for their actions. Remember, you hold a potential that even our religious leaders don't fully understand. So if you join them, believe their political rhetoric, and underestimate yourself, you'll eventually rob yourself of your own self-esteem. Now remember, if you feel angry, frustrated, sad, or disappointed, before blaming or looking down on yourself, try to understand who you really are and where you stand in this politically tainted holy picture. Learn to understand why you end up with these uncontrollable feelings and where they come from. Interestingly, you don't just end up with your political identity. You'll find yourself stuck in a pond, stream, or river of knowledge instead of discovering your ocean-like self. When you dig into your feelings, you are most certainly going to discover your own exclusive personal imagination. This imagination will direct you to your biased and influenced intellect. Unfortunately, or not, that's why they have the power to emotionally pollute your logic. As the CEO of your life, or as an uninfluenced spiritual being, you have the ability to override these emotional pollutants. If you've been taught or allowed politicians to influence you in any way, you should know that it was you who gave them the power to tell you how to believe or even think. If you stay in that state of mind long enough, you may end up with emotionally polluted and twisted logic of your own. If you can personally delve into your own ocean-like brain, pick, choose, mix, and match all the information you've collected along the way, you may find spiritually correct, logical thoughts that you've been holding within all along. This is when and where you tap into the abilities you've carried since before your birth. Your atom of autonomy is what makes you free, or helps you override those genetic and political influences that limit other creatures. If the knowledge is especially about life after death, remember that for us human beings, it's not based on our physical realities. It's about our metaphorical zone. If someone says they know everything about what lies beyond the cliff of our faith, no offense to any politically tainted belief system, but common sense says it's not based on physical reality because one has to die first to find out the truth for themselves. An interesting phenomenon is that when it comes to our metaphorical, world-related knowledge, regardless of it being non-physical and unclear, somehow human beings respond passionately and may even resort to violence. Ever wonder why? Just ask yourself why that unknown is more important and powerful than our physical facts. Unfortunately, we have been, and even today are still killing each other, interestingly, just to defend and protect those unknowns. Personally, I believe those killings have nothing to do with the world of our unknowns itself, but rather everything to do with the politics of our group belonging. So, as individuals, we have to be honest with ourselves first, and then ask, why do we really fight and kill each other, especially over something we don't really know or fully understand? If you start to think, especially without any political bias, things don't really add up, simply because we all individually come with our own atom of autonomy related to free will. Clearly, that means as human beings, we all have to override not only our emotional feelings but also the influences of our political belonging simultaneously. Accepting the role of CEO, who has the duty to manage both opposing sides from within, can be tricky, but these are the responsibilities we come with. As animals, we might fight for survival, resources, and territory, but as spiritual beings, we literally fight for love. The loss of love is a pain that sparks revenge, and that individual rage is a bonanza for politicians to carry on with their conflicts. Remember, it is an individual who picks up a sword or pushes the button physically to do the deed for their politician. This means that even a group of people can't do anything unless their individuals bring their physicality to those conflicts. Just as a good spiritual deed from God doesn't physically take place unless a human being lends their physical hands, backs, and shoulders to it. So mixing the pain of lost love and related revenge is like mixing alcohols to raise the level of intoxication. This means we can continue killing each other's individuals, even the innocent ones, for thousands of years. So, as individuals and as humanity, we all have to look at our conflicts from all angles. For instance, remember, politicians are not in it for the individual, humanity, or God. They are in it exclusively for power, dominance, and control. Our individual vulnerabilities are needed by them to carry on with their political ambitions. If humanity provides all human beings with their equal rights and the feeling of being protected, they can change and evolve to override the politics of belonging. Remember, the longer the injustice continues, or the more individuals who have felt the pain of lost love, the more revenge-related killings will go on. It's not hard to see the causes, but it is almost impossible to deal with the feelings of lost love. So, it is highly individual. If everyone wants to inflict the same pain on the one who caused them that pain, the world will remain as it has been. Logically, it has been shown, both in our present history and in the past, that by providing equal rights, we all can learn to live even in a melting pot society. After all, our entire history clearly shows a rainbow of mixed nations. We even have different blood types to attest that we have been mixing and evolving all along. Yet there have always been people who have literally begged for differences all along as well. Their politically polluted emotions have led them to believe that their ancestors were superior. Really? Science says we all started from Africa. You know what that means? If you really want to dig into it, start digging within yourself first. Remember, you simply can't change the physical realities of humanity just because your belonging group says otherwise. If you are taught to believe in something other than physical reality, it is your duty to become the CEO of your life so you aren't treated like a worker bee or a warrior ant. Before you say you don't believe in science, you have to consider your political influences as the polluting factors of your emotionally twisted logic. In a nutshell, you simply can't be fair if you are born in or around the equator. So, from a distance maybe, but having black genes within and discriminating against them all need your CEO attention. Anyway, for that reason, I would say we all started as black but adapted to our environment and evolved. So believing that you somehow become superior by being born into a certain race, gender, or ideology without the judgment of your character and contributions to humanity is nothing more than absurdity. With the level of our evolution, by now we should have figured things out. But the politics of our belonging has us all dancing like puppets to our belonging groups. Once you evolve individually, you can not only understand the differences between physical facts, but also know what belongs to our metaphorical world and how our group politics work as well. Remember, our belonging group-related traditions, customs, and rituals may be powerful and feel right, but as a human being, you carry something within you that is even more powerful than your physical and political group influences. Interestingly, until the wave of equal human rights, we had not evolved in this particular aspect of life. Ever wonder what's holding us all back from really questioning that politics of belonging? Why don't individuals believe in their exclusively installed atom of autonomy? Because political belonging has been robbing individuals of their self-worth and self-esteem.